Hello, this is Stuart from Burningsuit with a short video on Power BI structure. In our training courses, we're often asked how Power BI actually fits together. How do Dataflows datasets work? How do datasets, reports and dashboards relate? When do I need a gateway? And what's the difference between on-premise data and cloud-based data when I'm refreshing Power BI datasets? So we put together this short video to help explain some of those points. So we have two places where our data may reside. As I say, our data can be either on-premise. This is a physical server inside the building. The other place you could store your data is in the cloud. Now, this could be things like Azure, Google Sheets, this sort of stuff. This is really to separate them from the Power BI cloud. So the on-premise data, as I said earlier, is your databases, Access databases, SQL databases, Ingress databases, MySQL databases, local data, Excel spreadsheets, CSV files, or whatever. Whereas the cloud can be Microsoft Azure, OneDrive for Business, things like Salesforce, SAP Online, Google Docs, Google Drive, this sort of stuff. And that's where our data is. Now, to move that across and to get that into the cloud, we've got a number of options. Firstly, for the on-premise data, we need to have a Power BI gateway. Power BI gateway mediates between the on-premise data and the Power BI cloud. It manages that movement of data. It manages an element of the ETL, the extract, transform, and load. If, however, the data here, we don't need a gateway. Cloud-based data, cloud to cloud, is easy and sweet. We don't need gateways from that point of view. Now, the first construct we can talk about in Power BI Cloud are data flows. And these are simply data storage. It stores the data in CSV files on Microsoft Azure. But you get that as part of your Power BI Cloud. You get that as all of your Power BI licenses. So Pro upwards gets data flows. And Basic Pro license gets you 10 gigabytes worth of storage. Premium per user and premium licenses get you a lot more storage. We can load data into data flows through the Power Query in the Cloud element. And that will give us our scheduled extract, transform, and load. It's a funnel because it cleans the data. There's a clock there because it is timed, and we can update that data at set times during the day and build a data flow out. We need to think about data flows because this now locates where we work with the data. So that when we're working on our Power BI desktop, as a data modeler, we can get data onto our Power BI desktop and smash it up from our cloud sources, from our on-premise sources, and from data flows that are already there in Power BI Cloud. And we can build those into Power BI desktop. Out of there, we can generate a data set and associated reports. That then gets published into the Power BI Cloud. And we can have multiple data sets in the Power BI Cloud. And this is the common thing. This is what people mainly use in Power BI Cloud is our data sets. Again, we can have a scheduled update of the data set, taking data from data flows on our timed and filtered, but also optionally taking data from the gateway and from other clouds as well. Then we can, out of our data set, produce dashboards and reports. Note, we can produce reports in Power BI Desktop and publish them to the cloud. But dashboards are cloud-based only. We can't create dashboards in Power BI Desktop. They have to be created effectively in the cloud. We can also connect to those data sets as we saw earlier. We did that in Excel. We could do that in Power BI Desktop. And this is, if you like, a report generating use of Power BI Desktop. This is a data modeling use of Power BI Desktop, mixing the data together and making a data set. And this is a Power BI using connecting to an existing certified or promoted data set. And then they can produce reports, which they load into the cloud. And then our users can consume those reports and dashboards. Again, we've seen they can consume those reports and dashboards as Power BI apps, or as simply as shared information that's been shared out with them. So our users can consume in whichever way we tend to share that data with them. Now, this is a busy little diagram. I think you'll agree. What might help is if we take away some of the sort of optional pieces. So to take away some of the optional pieces, just take away data flows. Data flows are optional. You don't have to have data flows. There are some really, really good technical reasons why you might want a data flow. But you could operate this way. Your data sets could be updated through the gateway, and they could join in a data set information that's also on-premise or on cloud, or data that's all on cloud if you've not got any gateways and you're not using any gateways at all. The reason why you might want to use data flows I'll come into in a brief moment. In this case, if we're not implementing data flows, the Power BI desktop user here, the data modeler, just takes data from the gateway or data from on-premise or data from the cloud-based systems, produces the data sets which other people can connect to make reports or connect reports out of the cloud, and our users are happy. When we think about refreshing, we can take the Power BI people out of the equation to some extent and say, okay, we have our gateway refreshing our data set. If we haven't got or don't want to use a data set, a gateway, then all of our data is in the cloud, and that gets refreshed that way. Updates the reports and dashboards. Users see new updated. This can be timed 8 times a day for a pro license, 48 times a day for a premium license. That's the simplest way. If we bring back in the data flows, one of the reasons we might want to use a data flow is if it's very slow getting data out of the on-premise data sets, or if it's very complex to transform that data. We can transform that data with an overnight update, maybe with a complex transformation suite that ends up with a data flow that other users can then use without that complexity, without having to hit the data on premise anymore. We've moved our data that's required for reporting away from on-premise into the data flows. That speeds things up, that smooths things out, it makes it reusable, it makes it faster and better to work with. To be honest with you, I don't think there's much reason for using data flows with cloud-based data unless you're doing a lot of complex transitions, a lot of complex transformations. And if you've got tools like SAP, SAP data, etc., that's really complex in some instances, and you need to do a lot of Power Query to make it reportable. And you can do that once, put it into a data flow, and then use the data flow multiple times. It's a good way of doing it. We bring our Power BI users back in, we can see what the Power BI desktop people do and how the desktop people are. We still need Power BI Desktop to create the original data sets that are published to the cloud. And that's the only step where we need to come out of the clouds and into your PC, so to speak, and then push that data set back out again. Here we can report on it by connecting to it. This could be Power BI Desktop. This could also be Excel with Get Data and pivot tables. So I hope that helps to explain a little more about the structure of Power BI. If you like this video, click the like button. If you've got comments or questions, use the comments area below, or you can contact us. We are Burningsuit. We do training in Power BI and associated technologies. Contact us to find how we can help you make more of Power BI. Thanks for watching the video.